그 제일 비싼 값에 너와 내 추억을 써버려 Flex 어디로 갈래 국내 아닌 멀리 묻는 둘이면 승관업 비행기 예매해 빨리 내 바로 떠나게.
What's going on, everyone? Coach D here, The Shift Method. I hope all of you are having a wonderful day. We're back in beautiful Johnny O's Gymnasium here in Boca Raton, sunny South Florida. We got episode number 3 for y'all today, talking about the bent over row. We're gonna go over the basics of how to perform it, again, the muscles that are worked, and of course, some corrections you can make for yourself or as a coach, how you can help a client who might be struggling with some issues. So let's get right into it. All right, so we're briefly going to talk about the muscles that are worked in the bent over row. So of course, the primary things that you're going to be using are your traps, specifically the middle and lower portion, because you are bringing the shoulder blades together and apart, some scapular abduction and adduction. And of course, a big contributor to that is also going to be your rhomboids, because they do exactly that in assistance with your traps. You're also working your lats, those big winged muscles on the side of the body, because you're going into extension with the arms. And of course, the biceps play a major role because you are flexing the elbow every time you do the lift. Now, there's also some accessory muscles as well, thinking about the various muscles in the forearm, as well as the core and portions of the lower body like the quadriceps and the glutes and hamstrings to kind of stabilize yourself in that isometric position. In terms of the setup, let's go over a couple of points. First things first, we want to get our feet right. I usually tell people it's similar to a deadlift, so you want to have your feet just about shoulder width apart, toes pointing relatively straight ahead. Then you're going to pick up the bar, so that way you're standing all the way upright with an overhand grip, meaning your palms are facing your body. In terms of how wide the grip should be, you want to have it usually just outside shoulder width. Again, this is going to be a little bit of personal preference. Some people like to go a little wide, some people like to go a little bit narrow. I usually like to go just outside shoulder width to kind of start. From here, you're actually going to get now into the bottom of your deadlift position. So you're going to hinge your hips back, let your chest fall forward, trying to get as close to parallel to the ground as possible with your torso, and you're going to hold that position. From there, you're going to pull your elbows up to the ceiling, bringing the bar to the top of your chest, or excuse me, the bottom of your chest, or the upper part of your abdomen. Again, from people, it's going to be a little bit different, but pulling in somewhat of a straight line, keeping the bar over your midfoot. This last thing we're going to talk about is this concept called scapular freedom. You're going to hear me mention this a couple times with other exercises we cover later on, basically meaning there's a debate whether during row-based movements like the bent over row, if you have to have your shoulder blades pulled back the entire time. I would argue if you're trying to get the most bang for your buck training the traps, specifically for things like hypertrophy training, you actually want to let your shoulder blades come apart and together, so letting your back not necessarily overly round, but letting your back come apart, and then you can use the things like the rhomboids and the traps to pull the bar, pull your shoulder blades together. That way you're bringing the muscle through a full range of motion. If you of course want to keep the traps together or keep the shoulder blades pinned back, that's totally fine as well. Just making that distinction for this particular video when I cover cues. Okay, so some common mistakes that I see in the bent over row, specifically working with some of my clients. One of the biggest ones I probably see is where the bar is being pulled. If you look at it from the side, oftentimes you'll notice that the bar kind of isn't in line with their midfoot. Very similar to a deadlift where they have the bar pulled way out in front of them and they're kind of doing this like diagonal pulling motion. What I always tell people in this instance is, hey, keep the bar about 1 inch from your shins, or just like the squat and deadlift, keep the bar over your midfoot or the knot of your shoelaces. Another issue that I might see sometimes is people aren't hinged over and as close to parallel to the ground as possible. Now, of course, if your client can't get parallel to the ground, that is okay. But what we don't want them to do is kind of this standing upright row action that you might see where they're not training the same exercise anymore. And they're primarily doing more so a upright row like exercise. So for this, I teach them how to hinge, make sure they're comfortable getting in that position, and they hold and maintain that in order to do their row. Last but not least, another big cue or error that I'll see cueing wise for clients is that they have excessive rounding or excessive arching. Again, similar to the deadlift, I might just have to cue their back position, help them understand, hey, I want you to be relatively flat in the back. And this is where sometimes that shoulders back and down cue might be helpful for them initially, just so they understand how to position their body. And that's it. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please be sure to like, comment, share, or subscribe if you found this helpful. And again, please stay tuned. I'm gonna be releasing these every other Monday. Again, this is the wonderful Johnny O's Gymnasium. I'm Coach D, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day.